You want to be cool? You should probably like, you should probably comment, you should probably subscribe. Why? Because I'll give away some Vortex binos every single month of the season. And if you like, comment, and subscribe, you're entered. Where to hunt opening day, guys. So there are two answers to where you should be hunting opening day, and it depends on the amount of time that you put into the woods in scouting and where your bucks are in the off season. Even as far as, a week up to opening day. So here's the thing, guys. I believe that in-season scouting and scouting close in the time frame in which you are planning to hunt is a good thing. Because then you have the most recent information, and even if you boogered that deer up and push them out of the county, which rarely happens, they just kind of shift a little bit, you have that information for future years. Now, there's two different ways that we can look at this. If you are putting in that time, you're in-season scouting, you're out-of-season scouting, you put in a lot of that time where you know where the rubs are, you know where the scrapes are, you know where the first scrape is outside the bedroom, you know where the bedroom is, you know where the condensed sign is, you know where all these things are. Well, then I'm going to tell you right now, opening day should be a pretty aggressive sit for you guys. And I don't necessarily believe that you should be skipping morning hunts opening day. It is dependent upon your scenario. I would say majority that could be correct, but I'll tell you right now, if you feel as if you can get back into that bedroom before he does and be waiting in that area in which he goes back to on a daily basis, well, then you absolutely should. So, I guess there's two different ways we can look at this topic, guys. And if you feel like you're putting in a lot of time, or you feel like you kind of know what's going on and you feel like you know where the bedroom is, you better get in there opening day and go and move in for the kill, especially if you feel like you don't have a lot of history with these deer. You don't know what they do. You don't know if they come back, or if you're on public land. And in the public land scenario, I'd especially be going in there on the opening mornings, because you're trying to preserve this area and go in there when the time is right. And maybe you should, but also realize that a lot of other guys are probably going into those areas too, especially if it's a well-known buck, a big buck. Got to figure out all these different variables and adjust accordingly. So at the end of the day, guys, there's two different ways we can look at this. The first would be, hell yeah, let's go dive in. Because we know there's a big buck, we know his pattern, we know what he's doing, we know his bedding is here, we know his food is here, we know his transition area is here. Well, then you absolutely go in there willy-nilly, like get after him and go and try and kill that deer. Now, if you screw up, guess what? The good news is you got the rest of the season to kill that deer. And chances are it's the first time he's been bumped, maybe one of the first times he's been bumped. He might come back to that area the next day. And I'll tell you right now, I can think of an early season hunt that we had in the past where I bumped this buck out of this bed, and he came back to it 3 days, and I decided on the second and third day to go in those access directions right past that bed, because I said, no way in hell is he going to be back in that bed. And sure enough, he was. Well, on the fourth day, circled around the back door, put the wind, a quartering wind, into our favor, just over a knoll. He was probably only about 75 yards away, bedded on the fourth day, and we didn't walk in to the direction in which he was looking. He came out, hit the first scrape outside the bed, and I smoked this 12 or 13 point just whopper buck coming right out of this bed. So we feel like we knew what was going on, so we got in there and got aggressive. Now the alternative to that, guys, is if you feel like you haven't put in a ton of time, you've been hanging out with the family, you've been working a bunch, get to an area of congregation, especially a food source. For me, I really, really, really prefer, a bean field is great, but I prefer alfalfa over beans nine times out of 10. These areas of congregation are hard for me to sit, because we've been online and we hear get back in the timber, and I did tell you to do that, but only if you knew where these bucks were spending time. But so many times I find myself feeling as if I have to get aggressive. Well, if you don't know what's going on, you need to learn. And these areas of congregation, like a big hay field or a big field or an agriculture field, a lot of times will give you the information that you need to make a more decisive decision, or a more educated decision on hunt number 2. So I can think of a hunt in Missouri where I'm not a field edge hunter. I am not. But I had this permission property that nobody else was hunting, and it's about 110 acres. It's beautiful, tucked away from the woods bean field. And I talked myself into sitting in that bean field. And sure enough, this 160-inch deer, which I have pictures of and videos of on my phone, I should give him the landing so we can include it in this video. He crisped and I crossed. Basically, he went on the field edge and went one way, and if he would have came mine, I would have smoked him with like an hour and a half of daylight left on a bean field. And 9 times out of 10, being the aggressive hunter I am, I'd normally be back in the timber. So I've learned from that. So here's the thing: if I don't exactly know what's going on, and I didn't in that scenario, sit the field edge. Sit the field edge and learn where at least the deer are coming out. And if you get a picture of him an hour or two later, that's okay. At least you got to see that night where the deer were coming out. And now maybe day number 2, you go in and you start following those trail systems back from the area of congregation to the bedding areas, and you can kind of put the puzzle pieces together. At the end of the day, guys, if you don't have a figured opening day, go to an area of congregation. Play the long game. It's okay. And in fact, I would recommend it more times than not. We're told not to hunt these field edges. I'll tell you right now, if you don't know what the hell's going on, it's a good place to start, especially if you feel like it's an area that didn't get pressured from the road. It's pretty far back there, and a natural pattern could be taking place. There is nothing wrong with hunting a field edge. I think too often we get caught up into getting back there, and I'm absolutely guilty of it. Do the opposite. Everybody's listening to the same stuff. Sometimes you got to do the opposite. And you wouldn't believe how many times it's going to work out for you guys. So there's 2 different ways to look at opening day. If you feel like you know what's going on, you get in his bedroom. You even get in his bedroom opening morning if you feel like you can. But if you really don't have a clue what's going on, you've been busy all summer, you've been hanging out with the boys, you've been hanging out with the family, you've been working, you've been doing whatever, get to an area of congregation, a hay field, a bean field, some sort of crop field, an area in which you can see a lot. And then you can kind of tailor hunt number 2 and even the rest of the season based off those sits, guys. Good luck.